More of Stevie Wonder on Tavis Smiley. We continue our celebration of June as Black Music Month. Every day we choose a different artist whose music we play all 3 hours of our program. In between these great conversations with some pretty amazing guests. And our artist in residence today is one Stevlin Morris, and we're glad about it. In this hour, as promised, 2 conversations. On the back side of this hour, we'll talk to Chris Cooks, editor-in-chief of the Boston Globe's Money, Power, and Inequality newsroom team. He'll take us inside their new series on 50 years of busing in Boston. It's called Broken Promises, Unfulfilled Hope. But we commenced this hour with part of our continuing, another edition, I should say, of our continuing series, talking to esteemed presidents of some of the HBCUs across the country. Today, it is Herman J. Felton, Jr., Ph.D., J.D., the president of Wiley University. President Felton, good to have you on this program. How are you today, sir?
I'm doing pretty good, Tavis. My mama called me Herman, so I'd appreciate it if you would do the same.
I ain't your mama, and you have earned that, J.D. You've earned that Ph.D., and for this conversation, Herman, you will be Dr. Felton. So I appreciate the offer. You call me Tavis, I'll call you President Felton. We'll get along fine here.
My man.
For these statements. I appreciate it. Speaking of my man, I love that line. I use it all the time. Denzel, of course, said my man a couple of times. In training day. And speaking of Denzel, it was Denzel who sort of put Wiley back on the map again in 2007 with that amazing film, The Great Debaters. You were not at Wiley in 2007, but I'm wondering to what extent of the success of that film and all the conversation about it is still reverberating all these years later on Wiley.
It still is. He is still an active supporter. He and the Denzel and Paulette Washington Foundation are still contributors. So they help fuel the passion that is still burning. Our students are still competing across the nation and doing a phenomenal job. And Nate Parker was actively engaged on our board for quite some time. He just rolled off. So what Mr. Washington did for Wiley and our alums is incalculable, and what he is still doing is pretty amazing.
Yeah, I am honored to say that Denzel and Nate are both personal friends of mine, and they're 2 amazing guys. And so Wiley was very fortunate to have Denzel and Nate tap into that institution and do what they could to elevate it, raise money for it, and just profile the great work that's been done there all these years later. When I think about the film and I think about the debate team, and I think some of the audience may know that I was a debate student myself. I didn't have the honor of going to Wiley, but I went to a place called Indiana University. I was on a debate scholarship at IU and was national champion in my senior year. So I know something of debate, and I did pretty well at it for the 4 years I was on the debate team. That's how I went to Indiana to debate. But I had a great time on the debate team there 4 years, and I can't begin to tell you. I tell students all the time, when I talk to students or talk to parents about their kids going to college, or talk to my own nieces and nephews that are going to college and matriculating, I say to all of them, take a debate class. If they offer it, take a debate class. I can't begin to tell you all the ways in which you're learning how to debate, both on the affirmative side and the negative side. How to make your argument, how to critique somebody else's argument, how to break their argument down, how to listen generously and charitably, how to know when to hold them, when to fold them, when to walk away and when to run. All of that stuff.
Absolutely.
It measurably helps you in life if you take a debate class. Again, for me, it was being a member of the debate team. But debate is such a useful tool, and I always encourage college students to take a debate class. But as you were talking about it, my mind goes to this, and this really, segues right into where I want to go in this conversation. I want to talk about tradition, or at least allow you to talk about tradition. The fact that debate team at Wiley is still going strong, and there was there before Denzel ever made the movie, of course. He could have made a movie if there hadn't been a debate team. So the point is, this is a long-standing tradition at Wiley. I don't need to call this question much more than that. Just talk to me about HBCUs and the notion, President Felton, of tradition.
Cultural competency, cultural pluralism is what oftentimes is negated when we talk about what is needed for people to really understand who we are and what HBCUs have done for the world, not just America, not just for a few countries, but for the globe. The diaspora is rich because of the phenomenal scholars, the phenomenal scientists that started at HBCUs. In fact, you have to go back even further to really think about the intelligentsia that made sure that our students left and were able to do what George Washington Carver thought we all should do, which is come through this world, not pass through it without making it a distinctive imprint on it. History is something that folk, and it's funny because America right now, in some large part, is trying to erase it. But history cannot go away. It will always be what it is. And in fact, I believe the more you try to negate it, the stronger it is. What these institutions have done, which is really funny to me, how in which we've been able to impact this globe with less, and oftentimes while having to fight to have an opportunity to make impact is astonishing. I just left Accra, and it gave me an opportunity really to tap into what it means to be progeny of the enslaved. And for me, I really have to admit, I sort of conditioned myself, my wife and I, about a month out to make sure that we didn't come back hardened with any feelings against any people. And as I walked through that castle and listened to the depravity of the hearts of the folk who constructed that castle to make sure that they heard every wince, every outcry of the enslaved, I tapped into an energy that reminded me of our history.
Hold that thought.
And the resilience.
Hold that thought.
Sure.
Hold that thought. I want to talk about that energy, those two words, that energy and that resilience. I want to tap into that when we come forward, that energy and that resilience. I got goosebumps as you were telling that story. Many in this audience know I wrote a book about my 27-year friendship with Maya Angelou. My very first trip out of this country was with Maya Angelou. She took me with her for almost 2 weeks to Accra, Ghana, the same Accra that President Felton references now. So I've been to Accra even a number of times since then. I stood in that doorway that he's referencing at the Elmina slave castles, and so to hear him retell that story gives me goosebumps. We'll talk about that energy and the resilience that he felt when he took that trip when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
This is getting good. Yeah, man. Tavis Smiley continues when we come forward.
If you've not been feeling yourself lately, if your weight loss dreams have turned into weight gain nightmares, if you've been chasing the same 20 pounds for like 2 decades, then it's time to try D-Herbs. D-Herbs Full Body Cleanse is a natural cleansing regimen that can help you lose 20 pounds in just 20 days. The Full Body Cleanse will also boost your immune system and improve your digestion. Summer is here, so now's as good time as any to lose those pounds you've been carrying around and prepare yourself into a healthier lifestyle. To reboot your system and lose weight, go to dherbs.com and order your full body cleanse or call 866-434-3727. If you mention Tavis at checkout, they will give you a discount. dherbs.com. Experience healing.
Make a move into a home of your own. With City National Bank's Ladder Up Home Loan Grant, you can receive up to $20,000 that you never need to pay back. Use it toward your down payment, save on closing costs, or to buy down your mortgage rate. Find out more at cnb.com/ladderuphome. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Property must be in a qualifying market in California, New York, or New Jersey. Additional terms and conditions apply. Not all applicants will qualify. Terms are subject to change without notice. City National Bank is an equal housing lender. Member FDIC. NMLS number 536994.
Have you heard of the 50-30-20 rule? This can help you spend and save your money wisely. So, how does it work? Distribute your dollars into 3 buckets. 50% towards needs, 30% towards your wants, and 20% goes to savings. Use this tool to help your journey to financial success. Sponsored by J.P. Morgan Chase & Company.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 believes in community empowerment through the arts. Dia Chucha Central Cultural is on a mission to transform community in the Northeast San Fernando Valley and beyond through ancestral knowledge, the arts, literacy, and creative engagement. The Northeast San Fernando Valley has a population of about 500,000, the size of the city of Oakland, yet it has no bookstores, art galleries, or full-fledged cultural spaces until Tia Chuchas opened its doors in 2001. Founded by renowned poet and activist Luis Rodriguez, Tia Chuchas Cultural Center provides a year-round free or low-cost arts and literacy bilingual intergenerational programming in mural painting, music, dance, writing, visual arts, healing art sessions, and healing talking circles. Activities also include Mexica, Aztec dance, indigenous cosmology, philosophy, and 2 weekly open mic nights, one in Spanish, the other in English. In addition, they host author readings, film screenings, and art exhibits. To express yourself, heal yourself, attend an event, or volunteer, please visit www.tiachucha.org. That's TIACHUCHA.org. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Grid Alternatives is a nonprofit organization in Los Angeles. We serve communities who have been left out of the renewable energy sector. We provide free solar systems to our qualified homeowners and renters. We design and install the solar systems at no cost to you ever. Call today, 866-921-4696. Again, 866-921-4696. Or visit gridsolar.org. That's gridsolar.org. Don't be left out any longer.
We see a lot of news about teens vaping, but teens see something else. Videos on social media that glamorize it and downplay the dangers of nicotine. How can parents talk so kids will listen? Use facts. 1. Nicotine can rewire teens' brains. 2. It can make teens more anxious. 3. Changes to the brain can be permanent. So even when it hides behind a new look, nicotine is brain poison. Go to undo.org for more.
So you just used bug spray in your home. Now what? Well, between the waiting and waiting for things to dry up and keeping your family away from the mess, it hits you. You could have used Zevo. Unlike other bug sprays that stick around, Zevo goes from kill to clean in seconds. Plus, it's safe for use around people and pets when used as directed. Zevo, people-friendly, bug-deadly.
On your period, sudden gushes happen without warning. But now, you can say goodbye to stand-up gush fears. Thanks to Always Ultra Thins with rapid dry technology. It absorbs gushes 2 times faster than the leading store brand and gives you up to 100% leak-free protection. Hello, clean and comfortable with Always Fear No Gush.
Helping to make you the most knowledgeable person in your circle of friends. This is Tavis Smiley.
Paris, Beirut, Iraq, Iran, Eurasia, I speak very, very fluent Spanish. Todo está bien. Chévere. 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 Is that right, mama? Yes, I got my shaking room. Everybody's got a thing that you don't know how to handle it. Always reaching out in vain, just thinking that things not worth having. But don't you worry about a thing. Don't you worry about a thing, mama. 'Cause I'll be standing on the side when you check it out.
Continuing our celebration of Stevie Wonder today. All 3 hours of our program has been the best of Stevie Wonder as we continue to acknowledge June as Black Music Month. Our guest is Herman J. Felton Jr., Ph.D., J.D. He's the president of Wiley University, and we are continuing our series of conversations with with the heads of these HBCUs across the country, and just honored to have President Felton on with us in this hour. I had to interrupt you. I'm sorry. You know how radio works, but you were just getting to the heart of an amazing story about your recent trip to Accra, Ghana, with your lovely wife, Catherine. You were telling us about the energy and the resilience you felt as you went to the slave castles. Pick that story up, please.
Yeah, it was, to answer your question more directly, the history of us and these HBCUs is really the platform for us to make a quantum leap. And it taps into a resiliency, I think, like no other people, to come from what happened to us, which is undescribable, unexplainable, and to see where we are meant for me that I had not done enough. And I don't know if there's another word to describe what happened to me better than transformational, a transformative experience. And that word is watered down because we use it all the time. But I've come back a different person, understanding that when history is firm and we are resolved about it, it allows us to move differently. And I think that's the problem with us now. We don't understand the history both of the people who were enslaved and the progeny of it, and these HBCUs and what they've done and what they mean to this world. I hate to quote George Wallace when he cited segregation today, tomorrow, and forever. HBCUs are yesterday, today, tomorrow, and will be forever. There's no way that this world will be what she wants to be without HBCUs flourishing.
I am curious, and I'm getting too personal. Tell me, and I'll back up. But since you went, I'm just following you. I recall, as I said earlier, my very first trip to Africa. I was carrying Maya Angelou's bags, and for almost 2 weeks hanging out with Maya in Africa, in Ghana specifically, is a story and an experience I will hold on to, obviously, for the rest of my days, because it shaped me as well. It shaped me. I don't become the broadcaster, the media personality, the author. I don't become all those things that I become if I don't take that trip with Maya to Africa. All of that comes from that trip. I write about it in my memoir, What I Know for Sure. But all of that put me on the right path to doing what I've been doing all these years. It was that trip to Africa where I discovered what my purpose was, what my calling was. I came back and I got busy, and I ain't stopped running since. And that was that was a few decades ago. But I recall vividly what that experience like. As a matter of fact, this is inside baseball, and I'm looking through the glass window to my studio right now, and the board op who's running my show now, and has been for the last couple of weeks, is a guy named Kamal. Kamal is not my regular board op. He's my board op right now because my regular board op, people hear me call his name all the time, Miles, is in Africa. Miles is a young guy. Miles is a young guy in his 20s, and I tell you, for a show that's into syndication with all the different moving pieces that we have on a show like this, I don't like changing board ops. I love Kamal, nothing against him. But you get into a rhythm. You get into a rhythm if you're a regular guy, and that rhythm works for you, right? And I thought long and hard when Miles said to me he wanted to go to Africa. I have a host on my show. This show is syndicated across the country, but in L.A., the host of my morning show does a show every year from Africa. She takes a group of people to Africa, and we rent the equipment for her to broadcast live for literally 2 weeks from Africa. It ain't cheap, but it's part of our mission as a black-owned talk station. So for 2 weeks, she broadcast her show live, and so last year when she went, Miles did not go. But this year he came to me and said, Coach, calls me Coach, I'd like to go to Africa with Dominique and help do the show from there if you'd let me go. And every fiber in my being said, no, Negro, you cannot go right now. There's too much going on. I got a live figure on C-SPAN. We got a presidential debate coming up Thursday night. There's too much going on for you to leave. And I caught myself, President Felton, and I said to myself, Self, do you recall your first trip to Africa? I don't know. Right. I don't know how this trip that he's on right now is going to change Miles. I do not know. But if this Negro comes back the same way he left, we're going to have a problem. Because you can't go to Africa for the very first time in your 20s and come back the same. So I'm waiting. I am waiting with bated breath for Miles to walk back up in here. I want to see the change in this young Negro. I want to see what happened to him while he was in Africa for 2 weeks, and I recall what happened to me. You've just shared with us what happened to you. I'm watching my clock. I hasten to ask this question. If it's too personal, again, tell me and I'll back up. How has that experience, how will that experience change the way you steward, the way you lead Wiley University? Or impact it, if not change it?
I think it will touch bleed into every facet. I don't know that moving from Johannesburg to Zimbabwe and going to Accra and traveling to Kumasi and watching our people move about, watching commerce, watching how families and units did what they needed to do to get through the day. There's parallel in what we do and what I do. And in order to really move the needle here at Wiley and in every place that I touch, first is the understanding that self has to die, can't do it alone. And I've demonstrated that I've been in that ilk for a while, but it has heightened my sensitive nature to what others need around me so that they can be better for themselves, which I and the institution will benefit from.
I
think it's that empowerment and the advocacy that has been heightened.
No, I appreciate that response. I got about 5 minutes left. Just watching our time. I want to cover a bit more ground here. Talk to me then about the economics of stewarding an HBCU in 2024.
Thin margins, my brother. You got to be clear about where everything is going. And in the Marine Corps, we talked about movement with purpose. Learned that in law school when you're in the whale, movement with purpose. So everything that we do has to be tied to some greater plan. And that puts the scale of what can happen now and what should happen later in perspective. So it's, you can't get state funding because we're private the way you really need to. The federal funding is tied to your legislators really advocating for you, and then your alums. And we know that our alums are trying, but don't meet the mark often, and it's really hard to make brick with straw and continue to produce leaders, but we find a way to do it.
They've been pushing back really, really hard on President Biden as he's tried to advance as aggressively as he can this student loan debt relief. I assume that Wiley graduates and others who have been blessed to have that debt relief are happy about that. But what say you about the president and his efforts on this student loan debt front?
I think he's doing what he can, right? A lot of us have to remember that the president doesn't have the power that we hope for them to. If that were the case, many of them would move in a way that would suggest we would get what we really wanted. But I think you have to commend him for what he has tried. They said no, and he's tried to go around to the back door. He's went to the side door. But we can't miss the impact of not voting. This is a direct correlation to us deciding, nah, I'm good, and now we have to deal with the ramifications of, nah, I'm good.
I quote Jesse Jackson again, as I often do, that we lose too many elections by the margin of our absence at the polls. That's Jesse Jackson. We lose too many elections by the margin of our absence at the polls. You mentioned the Marine Corps. I was going to go there because I saw that in your backstory as I was preparing for our conversation. I don't know that I've interviewed too many HBCU presidents who were in the Marine Corps. What has that done for your leadership?
Discipline. It has taught me that the extra mile is absolutely empty. I think we're right now in the midst of the benefit or the bad benefit of participation trophies and making everybody feel good. Well, life ain't easy, and those who work harder get more.
Yep.
It's just the law of averages, and the Marine Corps has instilled this notion that you get up and do an honest day's work, and you put a day of honest day's work on top of another, and you write a goal down, and you will get to that. And we don't do that nowadays.
I've got 90 seconds left. I will give it to you. What say you, sir, about the future of Wiley University? How are you sustaining your hope?
I am extremely excited, first for Sentinels and Surrogates, the opportunity to have this time with you, whom I've watched for years and appreciate what you've done for the globe, not just for Black America, but speaking truth to power. My sincere desire is that people will find something about Wiley that they're enamored with and want to give and want to help us produce global citizens who can take their rightful place in today's global society. That's my sincere desire.
He is the president of Wiley University. He is Herman J. Felton Jr., Ph.D., J.D., Marine Corps vet. This brother has been busy in his life. He's still handling his business every day as the leader of this fine institution. The 17th president and CEO of Wiley University. President Felton, Dr. Felton, Attorney Felton, it's been good to have you on this program.
Likewise.
All the best to you and Wiley, my friend. I appreciate your kind words. Thank you for saying that. My mama's listening. I'm sure she's up hearing that as well, man. Thank you so much. You take care of yourself.
Same to you, my dreamer. You too. Take care. Camp out pie, new pie.
There you go. Yo. More of Tavis Smiley when we come forward.
More of Tavis Smiley when we come forward. Paid for by government.com. Did you know the United States Mint has issued a new Morgan silver dollar coin in proof condition for the first time? Not only that, they are also minted in 99.9% pure silver for the first time ever in history. Coin experts are calling this an amazing opportunity for anyone that knows the enduring popularity of Morgans. But you must hurry. Only 400,000 of these legal tender silver dollars were issued. These first ever Morgan silver dollars are brand new with stunning mirror-like finish. Minted by the iconic San Francisco Mint. Call now and you're guaranteed a new first ever 99.9% pure silver proof Morgan dollar. To learn more, call 1-800-973-9717. If you order now, you will receive a free coin collector bonus pack, a $25 value, free with every order. Call 1-800-973-9717 now to secure your new Morgan silver dollars before they are gone. That's 1-800-973-9717.
I'm Tyreek Wayne. Here's the latest on the Black Information Network. Chicago, Illinois United Center is beginning to transform for this summer's Democratic National Convention. Monday was move-in day as the arena was being converted into a national stage. Starting August 19th, close to 5,000 delegates from across the nation will arrive in Chicago, joined by 5,000 visitors to officially nominate Joe Biden and Kamala Harris for re-election. Dozens of protesters gathered outside the Manhattan, New York DA's office on Monday to voice their disapproval of the dropping charges against many who demonstrated during the Columbia University Hamilton Hall occupation. The protest was driven by a group called End Jew Hate. Vice President Harris, who is black, is standing up for reproductive rights following a campaign appearance in Phoenix, Arizona. Harris was in Phoenix Monday on 2-year anniversary of Roe v. Wade being overturned, continuing to take full court press on the issue. That's the latest. I'm Tyreek Wayne on your home for 24/7 News, the Black Information Network, and BINnews.com.
Enjoy the rest of your night, and as always, travel home safe. In Laverne, an overturned car crash remains on the right shoulder embankment on the 210 East after Fruit Street, with stop traffic that continues from Lone Hill Avenue. In Boyle Heights, hit and run accident remains on the right shoulder of the 5 North at East 7th Street, with stop delays that continue from Highway 60. Over in Long Beach's 405 south of the 710, an accident remains on the right shoulder, with over 35 minutes running heavy from Century Boulevard. And over in Duarte, 3-car accident is on the 210 East after Buena Vista Street on the right shoulder, with a 15 to 20 minute backup running heavy from Highway 134.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The NBA draft kicks off tonight in New York City. The NBA is experimenting with a two-day draft for the first time. First round begins tonight at 5 p.m. Live coverage on ESPN and ABC. Second round is tomorrow. The TV ratings may determine if the NBA sticks with this two-day format. There could be more interest than usual in the second round. A lot of eyes will be on Bronny James to see what team may select LeBron's son. Bronny is projected to be a second-round pick. The Lakers have a second-round pick at number 55. Their first-round pick is number 17. Bronny worked out for only two teams, the Lakers and Phoenix. When the Lakers' turn comes up in the second round, the whole world will be watching to see what they do. Stay tuned. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
Looks like Bobby needs a ride again.
Grab the keys. Let's take our auntie to the swap meet. Grab the keys.
Whether you're giving rides or hauling gear, do it all in a Chevy SUV. Head to your local Chevy dealer, where well-qualified buyers get 1.9% financing on all 2024 Malibu, Colorado, Blazer, Equinox, Trailblazer, and Traverse limited models. Chevrolet. Together, let's drive.
1.9% APR for 36 months. Monthly payment is $2,860 for every $1,000 you finance. Example down payment 15.8% plus finance with GM Financial. Some customers may not qualify. Not available with lease and some other offers. Take your retail delivery by 7/1/24.
Did you know addiction to drugs like meth or cocaine is a disease and not a choice? But getting help is. If you have stimulant use disorder, you, your family, and friends may have a lot of questions, including where to start. Choose Change California can help. Make a change today and find a proven treatment option for you at choosechangeca.org.
Hey LA, be an eco-friendly hero. Join LADWP's Power Savers program and use your smart thermostat to help ease strain on the electric grid during peak electric demand. You'll save electricity while you lower your bill. Plus, as a power saver, you can get up to $185 in prepaid gift cards. Don't have a smart thermostat? No problem. Shop and sign up at ladwp.com/powersaversprogram. That's ladwp.com/powersaversprogram. To help combat climate change, LADWP is helping neighborhoods have better access to electric vehicles by awarding nearly $130 million in EV rebates to customers just like you. From big savings on used EVs to building new charging plazas, LADWP is charging ahead to help all Angelinos experience the benefits of EVs. Get rebates of up to $4,000 for a used EV and $1,750 for a charger. Learn more at ladwp.com/EV. That's ladwp.com/EV. Grab a proper breakfast with Wendy's new $3 English muffin breakfast deal. Limited time only. U.S. price and participation may vary. Select a request English muffin deal to obtain discount. Not valid for a la carte or combo orders. Single item at regular price.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. Mayfresh Daily in Leimert Park, Los Angeles, California. You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
I told you earlier in this program that I don't care what the occasion is, Stevie is the one artist. He got a song for you. I don't care what you talking about, what the occasion is, what the event is, what the celebration is, what the commemoration is. Stevie got a song for you, and that's why he's the GOAT. This is June, Black Music Month, and we every day this month choose a different artist whose music we play all 3 hours of our program, weaving and bobbing out of these and into these conversations with these guests. Today, that artist is and has been Stevie Wonder, and just again, love me some Stevie. In this final half hour, our conversation right now with Chris Hooks, who's editor-in-chief of the Boston Globe's Money, Power, and Inequality newsroom team. I just love that the Boston Globe has a newsroom team called Money, Power, and Inequality. I have opined many, many times about the fact we have all these business magazines. There was, in this country back in the day, a labor page in many newspapers. I ain't got time to get into that. But we have become so caught up with corporate America that we don't respect everyday people. And we don't talk about poverty and income inequality and economic immobility. Don't get me started. I wrote a book about this for Cornell West called The Rich and the Rest of Us. This is one of my passions. But I love that any major newspaper has a money, power, and inequality newsroom team. And Chris is going to take us inside their new series on 50 years of busing in Boston. I want to ask Chris in just a moment, what makes the busing crisis in Boston different than the story of busing in other American cities? Before I bring Chris on, just a little sound now from this series called Broken Promises, Unfulfilled Hope.
You had black schools and you had your white schools. Books that they were teaching the kids from in Roxbury, and the books that they were teaching the kids from in the white communities, same grade, were totally different. We were just asking for an education. Same education the other kids are getting. The same books that they're learning from, we want our children to learn from.
Roxbury. Love me some Roxbury. Chris Hooks, good to have you on. How are you today?
I'm good. How you doing?
If I complain about being ingrate, man, I'm doing remarkably well. I want to make the most of our time. Let me just ask you broadly to tell me about Broken Promises, Unfulfilled Hope, and then we'll jump from there.
Yes, I mean the project itself covers busing, for lack of a better word, for desegregation through busing, rather. 50 years ago, where we were then in Boston and where we are today, how education looks for Black and Latino kids today, 50 years after this massive decision put young kids on buses to white schools and white kids to black schools that really just tore the city apart in those first few years. So that's what the project is, sort of a quick overview of what the project is, and that's what it is.
And 50 years later, to quote another talk show host, the survey says what?
Much of the same, quite honest. One of the main objectives for this original 14 families who filed this lawsuit was so that their kids and their kids' kids and the generations after that would have great education in their own neighborhood. That never really happened in Boston. One of the main objectives for the lawsuit itself was to end segregation in Boston's public schools. That also rarely happened. There was a point in time in the first decade or so where desegregation was going on, where most of the white families in Boston public schools fled to the suburbs. It was at the time, obviously, white flight was happening, and this decision really just hastened the white flight that was already happening. So then you see a district that becomes increasingly majority Black and majority Latino, and that's what you see today. And you see, still those same educational outcomes are different for the Black and Latino kids compared to the white and the Asian kids who are getting into some schools, the few schools in Boston that are actually achieving great results.
Yeah. I note, and my audience notes, that you just introduced Latinos and Asians into this conversation, which I find fascinating, Chris, because as you know, whenever we talk about busing, these conversations always seem to be memorialized in books and films and articles and podcasts and the like, as a story about black and white, a struggle about black and white. I hear you now introducing others into this story. So in Boston, is this a black and white story?
I mean, I think initially when this first happened, it felt that way, right? Even the initial desegregation order only talked about black and white. There were parts where, the judge himself, in his initial order, said that any other minorities, we know that there are other minorities in the city and in the city schools, we would just have to approach them at a different time. We don't have the time right now to address the wants and needs of those kids and those families. So what you see is, and one of the stories that's actually a part of this project is looking at the Latino fight at the exact same time, where, you have in Boston, much like New York and a lot of the East Coast, a lot of Puerto Ricans, a lot of Dominicans, those types of Latinos here who both speak Spanish and need that sort of work as well. They're becoming now the majority. But then you actually have the judge who says, we don't have the time to sort of do this, so they need to adapt. So what happened was, is in a way, it was sort of like a brown paper bag test. If you're a lighter skinned Latino, you go with the white kids to a black school. If you're a darker skinned Latino, you go with the black kids to a white school, and that's how they divvied that up.
Yeah. Busing, of course, was a huge issue back in the day in this country, in big cities and small towns, certainly in big cities all across the country. This is the story of the busing crisis in Boston. It's called Broken Promises, Unfulfilled Hope. Chris Hooks is editor-in-chief of the Boston Globe's Money, Power, and Inequality newsroom. More conversation about Broken Promises, Unfulfilled Hope when we come forward with Chris Hooks on Tavis Smiley.
You're listening to Tavis Smiley. Ranked number 45 on the Heavy 100 list of the 100 most important radio talk show hosts in America.
We asked seniors how to prevent Medicare scams.
My best advice, if you get a phone call, do not talk to the person. These people are well trained. Don't talk to them.
They don't know me. They're just trying to scam me.
Don't be fooled. Hang up. Just hang up.
Never give out your Medicare number.
They're going to get your number and put in a false claim.
If I get a call from someone, I don't pick up the phone. And should I pick up the phone and they ask for information, then I hang up.
How do you detect Medicare fraud?
Just like I check my credit card statements, I check my Medicare statements monthly.
Scammers can get a hold of your number, order medical devices through your account, and you're not even going to know about it if you don't look at your statement. Check your statement every month.
If you get your statement and you see something that you know you did not have done, you report it.
Call your Senior Medicare Patrol. To report Medicare fraud, call the Senior Medicare Patrol at 855-613-7080.
Our city's hottest weeks of summer are approaching. If you're 60 or older, you're at risk of heat stroke or worse. Extreme heat can kill. That's why KBLA Talk 1580 is part of our year-long climate justice campaign. Has partnered with the Los Angeles Department of Water and Power and the LA City Department of Aging for LADWP's Powered by Equity event, Heat Relief for Seniors Resource Fair. Join fellow LA seniors who hope to beat the heat and stay safe on Monday, July 15th, 10 a.m. at the Watts Labor Community Action Center in South Los Angeles. Learn about LADWP's Easy Save and Level Pay programs to help lower your monthly electric bill. And there will be tips and resources to be ready and safe in the heat. LADWP customers 60 years or older will be eligible to receive a portable air conditioner while supplies last. Personal ID and your LADWP bill are required. Contact your LA Department of Aging Neighborhood Senior Center for Cool LA Heat Relief for Seniors participation details, or visit www.ladwp.com/events.
Did you know addiction to drugs like meth or cocaine is a disease and not a choice? But getting help is. If you have stimulant use disorder, you Your family and friends may have a lot of questions, including where to start. Choose Change California can help. Make a change today and find a proven treatment option for you at choosechangeca.org.
Substance use disorder and addiction is so isolating. And so, as a Black woman in recovery, hope must be loud. It grows louder when you ask for help and you're vulnerable. It is a thread that lets you know that no matter what happens, you will be okay.
When we learn the power of hope, recovery is possible. Find out how at startwithhope.com. Brought to you by the National Council for Mental Wellbeing, Shatterproof, and the Ad Council.
Looks like Bobby needs a ride again.
Grab the keys. Let's take our auntie to the swap meet. Grab the keys.
Whether you're giving rides or hauling gear, do it all in a Chevy SUV. Head to your local Chevy dealer, where well-qualified buyers get 1.9% financing on all 2024 Malibu, Colorado, Blazer, Equinox, Trailblazer, and Traverse limited models. Chevrolet, together, let's drive.
1.9% APR for 36 months. Monthly payment is $2,860 for every $1,000 you finance. Example down payment 15.8% plus finance with GM Financial. Some customers may not qualify. Not available with lease and some other offers. Take your retail delivery by 7/1/24.
Hey there, Los Angeles. This is James Lucky Jr., publisher and editor of Los Angeles News Observer. Are you hungry for news that matters to you and the African American communities of Los Angeles? Well, buckle up, because we got the scoop you've been craving. Stay in the know and never miss a beat with our free weekly publications conveniently available near you. Or hop on the digital wave and become an exclusive subscriber at OGNSC.com. Don't forget to join the party on Instagram and Twitter at OGNSCINC for behind-the-scenes access and sizzling updates. No more FOMO. Let's stay informed, connected, and empowered together.
Let's get back to more of this rich dialogue with Tavis Smiley.
Education is very important to me, because if you don't have education, you won't succeed.
And for you, do you have other memories of her just sort of like in bigger, small ways communicating to you guys that education was important?
Verbalizing it and saying, you have to do well in school, you have to study. Again, like you said, reading to us. Being involved in more than just social things, but educational things too. It was always like learning something with all the things that we did. So if it wasn't formal education in a school environment, it was education in other ways, to be exposed to different things, different people, different areas.
Chris Hooks, before I get back to this series on 50 years of busing in Boston called Broken Promises, Unfulfilled Hope, tell me quickly about the team that you lead, the newsroom team that you lead, the Money, Power, and Inequality team.
So about a decade ago, the Fed came out with this study that had a staggering number that is a little controversial now, but the idea of it was that in Boston, white families have a median or average net worth of about $145,000. Compared to black families in Boston who had, at the time, a net worth of $8. So that $8 figure.
Whoa. Hold up.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Hold up. I want to make sure I heard you correct. I got headphones on, so I thought I heard you correct. I want to make sure all the rest of the audience heard you correct. Give me those two numbers again.
So it was a little over $140,000 for white families and $8 for black families. Now, I will say that the numbers themselves, the way the study was done, was a little controversial. A few studies came out after that to sort of, I guess, expand upon where those numbers came from.
Right.
The updated number a few years after that came out to about 11,000 for black families.
Ooh.
But I mean, you still see 145 to 11 is staggering. So our team, what essentially we do now is we came out of that. We know what that number looks like. So we need to figure out what are the roadblocks that are in the way for black families, for Latino families in Boston, that are blocking them to building and accruing the same wealth that white families are allowed to build in Boston. and Greater Massachusetts entirely. So that's what we aim to. That's the type of stuff that we're examining. We're examining solutions, making these all very, very human centered.
You're doing the Lord's work, brother. You are doing the Lord's work as head of the Money, Power, and Inequality newsroom team at the Boston Globe. When we come forward in our remaining moments with Chris Hooks, we'll circle back for a few more moments to talking about this series, Broken Promises, Unfulfilled Hope, about the story of Boston's busing crisis. You're listening, and I'm glad about it, to Tavis Smiley.
Seeking the truth, speaking the truth. This is the Tavis Smiley Show.
If you're like me, 60 and retired, making ends meet, especially here at the supermarket and drugstore, is tough. I'm so blessed to have found benefitscheckup.org. It's a free and confidential website from the National Council on Aging that connected me to $1,200 a year in programs that help pay for food, medicine, utilities, and more. Maybe it can help you. benefitscheckup.org.
You know where you want to go in life, and City National Bank can help. City National knows the dedication it takes to build your vision for the future into a reality, and our team is here for you. We have a wide range of options to help, from personal savings accounts to interest-bearing money market savings accounts and more, all designed to help you get where you want to go. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Learn more at cnb.com. City National Bank is a subsidiary of Royal Bank of Canada, member FDIC.
Fight climate change. This Earth Day, April 22nd, go Metro and ride for free. You'll make a difference. Metro buses run on clean energy, making every day Earth Day. Together, we can clear the air and connect our communities. Start your journey at metro.net.
We ask seniors how to prevent Medicare scams.
My best advice, if you get a phone call, do not talk to the person. These people are well trained. Don't talk to them. They don't know me. They're just trying to scam me.
Don't be fooled. Hang up. Just hang up.
Never give out your Medicare number.
They're going to get your number and put in a false claim.
If I get a call from someone, I don't pick up the phone. And should I pick up the phone and they ask for information, then I hang up.
How do you detect Medicare fraud?
Just like I check my credit card statements, I check my Medicare statements monthly.
Scammers can get a hold of your number, order medical devices through your account, and you're not even going to know about it if you don't look at your statement. Check your statement every month.
If you get your statement and you see something that you know you did not have done, you report it.
Call your Senior Medicare Patrol. To report Medicare fraud, call the Senior Medicare Patrol at 855-613-7080.
Sounds different. This is Tavis Smiley.
This is Tavis Smiley in conversation, at least for these last 4 minutes, with Chris Hooks, who is editor-in-chief of the Boston Globe's Money, Power, and Inequality newsroom team. He's been, for these last 30 minutes, taking us inside their new series on 50 years of busing in Boston. The project is called Broken Promises, Unfulfilled Hope. The broken promises part I get in our final moments here, Chris. Tell me a bit more about the unfulfilled hope part of this story.
Yeah, I mean, you've been kicking off in the segment with audio from the original families who filed this lawsuit that brought desegregation. Mm-hmm. Their hopes had always been from the very jump to have good schools for their kids in their own neighborhood. So that they wouldn't have to put their kids on buses to go miles and miles away from their homes just to get the same exact education that white kids in other parts of Boston or the suburbs surrounding Boston were getting. The unfulfilled hopes part is exactly that. None of that has been achieved. We still see Black and Latino kids getting on buses every single day to go miles from their homes just to get some sort of education that they cannot get in their own neighborhood, close to their own homes. So that is the unfulfilled hope, right? So we have this 50 years worth of movement since the initial decision, which is 14 years of court-ordered desegregation through busing, and then 36 years of mayors and mayoral administrations also failing to improve anything at all since that moment. So that's the unfulfilled hope.
Yep. It's unfulfilled now, but hope springs eternal, as they say. So is there any sense that we will get from this series, or any sense, given the conversation that this series has kicked up in Boston, that the tide can be turned against the realities you just described?
You know, we had a panel last night for this as part of this series, and we had the mayor as part of the panel. And one of the things she talks about is being able to provide high-quality seats in every single school. Part of her, what she wants to do as a mayor is close a lot of schools, which is very controversial across the country. But one of the things we see in Boston is that a lot of these schools are very empty and have half enrollment. So there's a lot of money going into these schools, and they're not offering as much as they should. Whether or not that will change remains to be seen. I mean, we had 36 years of mayors saying they want to do X, Y, Z, and 36 years of those things not happening. So, you know, I think in terms of, you know, whether or not we can see that in the future, that's the only thing we can hope for, right?
Yeah. The busing crisis in America was as real as rain, and you heard Chris say today, we still see kids getting on buses to go all across town. So the impact of what happened back in the 70s is still being felt even today, and so I'm delighted that Chris and his team at the Boston Globe have put together this series on 50 years of busing in Boston. It's called Broken Promises, Unfulfilled Hope, brought to us by his pretty amazing team at the Globe, the Money, Power, and Inequality Newsroom team. Chris, you done good, man. You done good. Thank you for speaking of education. There I am using bad English, but you take my point. You done good, and I thank you for the work. I thank you for the conversation, my friend. All the best to you.
I appreciate it. Thank you for having me on.
Good to have you on. Just like that, 3 hours gone. We're back here tomorrow, Lord willing, to do it all over again. Until then, thanks for tuning in to Tavis Smiley, and as always, keep the faith.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Mike Moore. Here's the latest from the Black Information Network. Tampa, Florida officials won't abandon plans to get state funding for an arts venue. Governor Ron DeSantis vetoed funding for an amphitheater in the city's Central Avenue Business District. The area is significant for